It's that time of year again, and it's that time quite often, in all honesty. It's spoiler season, this time for Commander Legends, the new Commander draft set. For those of you that don't know, the idea of Commander Legends is that you draft prior to sitting down. For those of you who don't know what that is, drafting is where you open a pack, take a card from it, pass the pack to your right, take the next pack, the packs go around, you get cards out of them, you build a deck on the fly, which creates this interesting, varied gameplay experience and a whole lot of strategy before you start, and then you sit in pods of 4 and smash each other's faces in with your freshly constructed, slightly smaller EDH decks. I'm Vince, also known as Pleasant KENOBI on the internet. It's a really wet and wild and quite miserable day here in England, so I have just got out of bed and not done my hair, and I've gone for a bit of a darker, danker look to the setup today with the lighting and everything. I hope you enjoy it. This is going to be a first reaction to the first day of preview season. I'm not going to go through every single spoiler, but I'm going to talk about the things that I find interesting and things that I think are worth talking about, and just my general first reactions to the set. For the record, I am incredibly excited for Commander Legends. It feels fresh going into this. This feels like the Battle Bond or the Conspiracy set, which I loved all of those sort of things, because they got a multiplayer focus. And there's not so much of a fear that it's going to shit all over other formats, although we'll come to a bit of that about Legacy in a bit. So it's an exciting time. The greatest Magic the Gathering tragedy of the last year or so is that both Jumpstart and this came out during the global pandemic. And my heart goes out to anyone who works at Wizards that spent time designing these genuinely interesting, it's yet to be seen, but I assume genuinely interesting and fun draft and limited environments that are designed to be played with a group of people. And that's just not an option. On the upside, Jumpstart was available on Arena, and this is available on Modo, so just so you know, I will be hopefully streaming and making some videos about this draft format, playing this draft format, and just loving life with it on my Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/PleasantKenobi, and here on the YouTube channel as well. So already, much like every spoiler season, we've already had some weirdness about Commander Legends from some content creators and other people in the community, mainly saltiness, explaining how they're fearful that this is going to ruin Commander. And I tweeted this out a day or so ago, saying it's spoiler season for a set aimed at a format where the aim is to be dumb and do ludicrous shit and laugh about it. Embrace it. Remember that. It's funny because at the end of this video I'm going to talk about one of the cards and how it might fuck Legacy up, but that tweet was definitely about Commander. I find it weird that people are so obsessed with this idea that Commander's going to be ruined by Wizards of the Coast. I too personally believe that when they weren't designing specifically for Commander, when they were just, throwing cards out for other sets, we had to cobble together our strategies from there for Commander, that was a better time because things weren't so pushed and ludicrous, I guess. But ultimately, that's not where we are, and I don't think Commander can truly be damaged by Wizards' direct involvement, direct designing for, because, let's be real, it's not like a competitive format. The whole point of the format is to be fucking stupid, so it being fucking stupid isn't much of a problem. So here we have Channel Firewall's new, a spoiler index sort of thing where they're putting up cards. It gets updated daily. So this is the first day's worth of spoilers in front of me here. I'm going to talk about one other spoiler that came out this overnight. I woke up to it this morning and I was kind of shocked. First of all, let's talk about Tevesh, Zat, Doom, or Fools. They're sort of I think it might be a Gorgon or Snake person. I'm not quite sure exactly on what race this is within the multiverse. But Zat is a partner commander. It's a planeswalker that commander, and it's also got partners. So you can have other commander planeswalkers or other creatures with it. It has 2 upticks, +2 to create 2/0/1 black thrill creature tokens, and +1 you may sacrifice another creature or planeswalker. If you do draw 2 cards, then draw another card of the sacrificed creature, or permanent should I say. It was a commander, which means if he betrays his other commander, he draws more. Or if you steal other people's commanders and eat them with him, he draws more. And there's -10, which importantly is not doable upon double in season in hours. If you have double in season and then you play Tevesh Zat, God, I'm bad with names, and then want to uptick him or to downtick him, because ultimately you can do with many planeswalkers, you cannot do that here. That seems purposeful. Gain control of all commanders, put all commanders from the command zone onto the battlefield under your control. Yeah, that's an ultimate. I've seen a few people moaning that this is pushed or a problem or indicative of where Commander is going. And I really have to say that if you're scared of a -10 ultimate on a 5-mana Planeswalker, I can't help you at that point. Like, what are you on about? I think people are trying their hardest to jump to have an issue with this set, much like we have with every set, where like they do fuck up Modern or Legacy or Standard, like repeatedly at the moment. So there's an expectation for that to happen. So I think the hot take train and the attempt to get karma on Reddit and all that shit is looking to find that thing. I mean, I'm going to talk about a card that I think might fuck Legacy at the end of this video, or in the latter half of this video. So maybe I'm doing the same. Maybe I'm being a hypocrite. But I just have to say that Planeswalkers aren't the things warping Commander. It's a 4-player format. I mean, in the limited environment of Commander Legends, that might be a pain in the arse, as all Planeswalkers probably are. But like in an actual 4-player game of Commander, when there's 3 other people at your table, Tavesh, that shouldn't dominate. I don't want to say get good, but perhaps up your game a little bit. Then we come to the next black card I want to talk about, another mythic, Vampiric Tutor. Yep, they've reprinted a $100 card into Commander Legends, which is insane, and I'm happy to see it. Much needed reprint, powerful card, people want it, people want to play with it. It means that people can open up a kind of lottery win out of their pack and get more packs with it. I like to see that. I'm up for it. This is great. I'm not going to get bogged down too much with like every single thing that was revealed today as well, every single card, but Gavin talked about an interview he had, Gavin Verhey with Kotaku Australia, and revealed these 2 cards, Keskit the Flesh Sculptor and Profane Transfusion. Now, these are low quality images, and I haven't got anything better to show you right now. We'll get higher quality images in the card database on Wizards soon enough, but I just want to put my hands together and say thank you, whoever the art director is, and Vincent Prost did the Profane Transfusion, and Yongai Choi did Keskit. These are beautiful. Like the Phyrexian thing, like the transhuman robotic grotesque body horror stuff that's going on with Phyrexians has always been a thing that I've liked in Magic. And when you get to the porcelain new Phyrexian thing, like the Phyrexian Unlife like aesthetic, oh yeah, this is the hype. This is the kind of stuff flavor-wise you want to see in Magic. I cannot wait to go back to Phyrexia or new Phyrexia or see the Phyrexians invade another plane. That's something I'm very much looking forward to. These cards are fucking sick. Okay, that's enough positivity. Let's talk about something that kind of fucking sucks. Seraphic Greatsword. It's a 2-mana mythic equipment with an equip cost of 4. So 2-mana equipment with an equip cost of 4. It needs to do something pretty good to be any good. Whenever equipped creature attacks the player with the most life or tied for the most life, create a 4/4 white angel creature token with flying that's tapped and attacking that player. Okay, so it's the sword. It appears to be the sword, or at least an allusion to, it's not a legendary one, but an allusion to the Geist of St. Traft, a creature that was protected by an angel on Innistrad, a legendary soldier, and that angel comes to his time of need and fights alongside him and disappears each time he finishes fighting. This thing you get to keep the angel, so spawning a 4/4 angel every turn is good, I guess, in Commander, but a mythic? I don't know, like, I guess it'd be rough for the limited environment, but who cares? This isn't a GP format. I think this mythic is the worst mythic we've seen so far, and it's worse than a lot of other rares. Speaking of rares, we have Krark the Thumbless. Krark is a reference to Krark's Thumb and a few other cards as well. It's a coin flip card. If you lose the flip, return the spell to your hand when you cast an instant or sorcery. If you win the flip, copy that spell. And he has double or nothing written on his text box for his flavor text. I mean, that Krark too likes to crack $120 double masters packs and get fuck all out of it. He's like Wizards' ideal customer. Talking about other rares that are much rather open than Seraphic Greatsword is the Battle Bond land cycle that we saw. We've got the new ones of those. We've got Underground Stadium, Training Center, Vault of Champions. They're keeping thematically with this idea of being spaces that people might fight in or honor fighters. So that's kind of cool, and I think they're a good inclusion in this set. I would love to see Fetchland reprints, but I mean, I can't flog that horse anymore, honestly. I've seen people talk about how Mana Conference is now a mythic in this set, like an upshifted. No, that's misinformation. If we look at the article talking about collecting this that was put out on the Magic the Gathering website, this is the box topper or buy a box promo or whatever the fuck the term is for it now. You get one of these when you buy a booster. That means that it's a mythic in this instance because it's been upshifted in that slot. In the same way that when you get a Noble Hierarch, which is a rare, but you get it as a box topper, it is a mythic rare variant of that card. It's confusing. It's kind of... I mean, the community lost their shit at the idea of having commons in this mythic rarity or rare slot in Double Masters, the upshift thing for the showcase frame. But saying this is a fucking upshift and like getting angry at Wizards is not fair. So let's complain about the things that we should complain about that are unfair and acknowledge what this actually is, which is just a buy a box promo. Okay. let's get to the elephant in the room. I woke up and saw this tweet from Goblin Lackey. What the fuck is this? Who thinks this is a fun effect? Flash Mindslaver for searching with massive upside? What's he thinking? I'm going to go through the card as I read it. I was literally sat taking a shit when I read this, so come with me on a journey. Opposition Agent. It's a 3-mana black creature. It's a human rogue. It has Flash. I'm like, cool. I kind of hate this whole rogue, Flash, blue and black creatures with Flash is a thing that they're pushing, but whatever. Especially in Standard. You control your opponents while they're searching their libraries. Okay, cool. That means that, like, when they go to search, I can be friendly to my allies at the table and not so friendly to the people who have wronged me in the past. Perhaps I failed to find with them, but I get a land for someone that I need to impress and court favour with to win the game that I'm in. Politics. No, that's not the case. While an opponent is searching their library, they exile each card they find. You may play those cards for as long as they remain exiled, and you may spend mana as though it were mana of any colour to cast them. Opposition Agent is a Leonin Arbiter on crack. It is an Aven Mind Sensor with something to prove. It's like Notion Thief and Cat Jesus. They were like in a teleport and they were making out and they were fondling and there was some cuppage going on. And then someone accidentally hit the switch. There was a horrific accident and a half Cat Jesus, half Thief hybrid emerged from the other side like a hulking monstrosity. It's like, wow, there's like, its bits are falling off and it's like it's falling apart because it shouldn't exist. No sane person would have made that monstrosity, except in this case they did. This card is fucking absurd. It's so pushed. In Commander, it's going to be a groaner, a card that elicits a groan or some upset or frustration when it hits the table, and it might get a more vocal or visceral reaction when flashed in response to an important shooter, for example. For Commander, I do kind of love it. I think having effects that stop your opponents from doing things is perfectly reasonable, and only children and babies get upset when people play cards that, you know, disrupt you. It's a valid strategy, but, you know, everyone wants to play their own cards and all that shit. But 3 mana seems a little bit too efficient for my tastes. This smells like a card that was pushed to appeal to Eternal formats and Eternal format players in order to give the box, the Commander Legends box, a lure on multiple axes, right? You want staples in every format because it helps to sell the product. Where do we start with this fucking card? It's human, the best tribe. Like, hands down. Humans get better and better every time, so, you know, this is going to be playable in Legacy humans at a minimum, I guess, but let's go on. It's playable everywhere. It hates on searching, which isn't just ramp, isn't just your Farseeks and your demonic tutors, ramp and traditional tutors. It's also, and most importantly, fetch lands. It stifles fetch lands, except it doesn't just stifle fetch lands. It allows you to exile the land they were getting and play it on your turn. What the fuck? Arbiter and Mind Sensor both have considerable drawbacks. Both of them require you to play white, for example. But Arbiter can be paid for, and the effect is parallel. It affects its controller. So if you try to crack a fetch land with an Arbiter in play, and your Arbiter in play, it will affect you as much as it will affect your opponent, right? There is considerable downside to how Arbiter works. Avid Mind Sensor is a flash bird with flying, so it has evasion, which this creature doesn't, but it's a 2/1, and it still allows people to look some way into their deck, the top 4. This thing is a 3/2 with flash, so it's almost on rate for a vanilla here. If it's a 3/3 with flash, it would be above rate because of the flash. And it also has the effect to just literally turn off fetching for your opponent. Now, bearing in mind, Ashok says affects your opponent's control, can't allow them to search libraries. So Ashok doesn't combo with Path to Exile, or Assassin's Trophy, or Ghost Court, or Field of Ruin. This does. If you have this in play and you Ghost Quarter your opponent, you get the land, not them. Do you understand why this is so fucking good? Fuck me. It's important to note that most cards allow your opponents to, not search. They are a may ability, so some opponents will simply just not choose to search. So, ultimately, this card will maybe get you 1 card in terms of card advantage when you flash it in to surprise them when they're tutoring or cracking the fetch, and then from then onwards it's more of a disruption element more so than getting yourself tons of your opponent's cards. So don't think of this as a card advantage engine, although it obviously can be if your opponents are not playing optimally. Think of it more as a disruptive, well, hate bear element. I could be wrong, but I believe even if this dies, you can still get the cards that are under it, as Gonti is worded in a similar way, and that is how Gonti works. However, Gonti is part of a trigger, so it needs to be trigger, whilst Operative is part of an ongoing effect on the card that affects and subverts game rules whilst it's in play. So don't quote me on this yet, and the MTG judges will obviously tell us once the rule notes are out for the set. The fact this is black is crazy too. I know that mind control effects, to an extent, are like you know, I'm taking over other people's turns, like with Sorin and stuff, are in black. And theft is also in black's wheelhouse, but hate bears is a white thing, and now we have a black card doing it better than either of the obvious white alternatives. And I mean that. This is better than the white variants in every conceivable way. Not only because of the extra power and toughness of a mind sensor, but also that there's absolutely no alternative to getting fucked by its claws, other than killing it, which is obviously a thing that all creatures are weak. With the other white versions, like with Arbiter, you can pay through it and it affects the opponent. This just does not. It just says you don't get to get the thing you need to get with your tutor or fetch land or whatever. In Eternal formats, this is going to make way. Beyond the fact that in Legacy it turns off Green Sun Zenith, Crop Rotation, Eye of Ugin, both Recruiters, Entomb, Diabolic Tutor, Stoneforge Mystic, it also absolutely, as I said before, fucks fetch lands. Fetch lands are an integral part of the mana bases of most decks. The only decks that don't get hurt by this really are the City of Traitor, Ancient Tomb style Stompy Prison decks with no fetches and no tutors. Otherwise, this hurts everything in the format that I can think of. Even D&T that looks to not play fetch lands is playing Stoneforge Mystic and Recruiter. It could if it becomes an omnipresent threat, much like its 3 CMC black hate creature cousin like Plague Engineer. It could begin to skew the metagame significantly around it. I am not saying it's going to kill Legacy, but I think this is a format defining, perhaps warping card. It will change how people might have to conduct not only their mana bases, but also it might push Green Sun Zenith to be a fringe playable card if this shows up in enough decks. And people are thinking, oh, it's a 3 mana creature, surely Legacy can deal with that, you can force it and stuff. Sure, but it's a card that, if it gets 1 fetch land out of you, that's pretty damn good. And from there, it stops you from using more and more fetch lands. Combine this with Delver of Secrets, like your suite of 1 and 2 mana powerful spells that you get in Grixis Delver, for example. Or I guess Bug Delver, now we've got Oko still in the format. Add to that Daze and Wasteland. Yeah, I think this home is probably going to be Bug Delver. It also interacts very well with Veteran Explorer, because when Veteran Explorer dies, you get 4 lands and they get none. Well, you get 2 into play and 2 into exile that you can play. But I'm going to go out on a limb and predict that this card will be similar to True-Name Nemesis. It won't ruin the format, but it will definitely define periods of the format and create entire new archetypes and fuck a lot of other archetypes out of existence. I think it's that good. I think this is the first mistake we're going to see in this set. And this comes me to my final point. Like, I'm excited for Commander Legends. I think it should exist. I don't think the creativity and the design should be stifled for these products because of Legacy. So in many ways, you got to kind of accept this is just what happens to Legacy and Vintage now. I'm not mad, but I'm surprised because the card is dumb, but we knew something like this would happen, right? And that also is something else I want to talk about Commander with, is that the new Black Planeswalker, right? It's a Commander partner and a Planeswalker. Sure, like, I used to hate, and I still do kind of hate Partner, because some of them are just strictly better than other options. Like some of them are so powerful, they're good commanders on their own. Like Thrasios, right? Thrasios is good enough to be its own commander. I think Partner commanders should be weaker, because there's an inherent advantage to having access to 2 of them, 2 different options, 2 different bodies, 2 extra cards in your opening hand. They should be weaker than non-partner variants, but they often aren't, or at least they haven't been in the past. This set is looking better like that, especially putting a lot of them out on comp. But I think, again, you've got to just come to accept. I've been an old man chatting at clouds about Partner in the past, and I guess that's just where we are now. I guess some people playing other forms of Magic thought that the idea of having a commander was dumb. So, are we complaining about Partner the same people who complain about the idea of having a commander in a singleton format? Maybe. So this is Magic now. This is just where we're at, and we've got to kind of accept it or move on. And I'm not moving on. I love this game. I want to play more Magic. The game's fucking awesome. I've been Vince, also known as President KENOBI on the internet. This is the first day of spoilers. I'll probably have another one of these out later in the week as well to talk about the rest of them, probably on the weekend. It'd be good to one another. Let me know in the comment section down below if you think I'm being hyperbolic about the opposition agent, or whether you are on the same wavelength as me, thinking this card is going to be fucking stupid. Let me know. Ta-ta for now.